Yeah, good morning, Dave. Last year with fall, you said you changed up how you ran fall ball, more, fewer scrimmages, more, I guess, skill work. Did you see that pay off on the field last year? And is that the plan again this year?
Yeah, I did. Definitely. I thought that it pushed us forward as far as just knowing a little more about our team and then development. I thought we jumped a couple of months by doing it that way. And it's it'll be the way we run, our practices this fall. And some of it has to do with, the rosters are a little smaller, you have less pitchers. Um, so our scrimmages this fall will be mostly Friday, Saturday. And then actually the first couple of weekends, we're trying to build kids up. They might only throw one inning apiece. So the scrimmages are going to be shorter. And we might even design them where we have a 3 inning scrimmage. We take a 10-minute break and then we start another one, whether it's 3 innings, 2 innings, at least for the first couple of weekends, because we want kids to start. We want them to feel like they're starting instead of just running them in. Um, and just try to have a format like that. So upbeat, moving pretty quick, everything matters type practices.
You announced you're going to play Little Rock and DBU in the fall this morning. What do you think those two teams can do for your program?
Well, I think more than anything, we're just playing some outside competition, no matter who we're playing. Um, you know, Both teams probably would have played us maybe twice, but they have other, they're playing someone else another game. We can only play two. The way we want to do this, obviously, we're starting as early as you can start, which is today, and then we have a 45-day window. Those two scrimmage games are really at the end of our fifth week. We could actually go probably till the Thursday after that weekend. We're going to probably go straight into the weight room full speed after that. So that'll probably end our fall. And then we can just really work on what we feel we need to work on with individual positions and groups. But just playing outside competition, putting one lineup on the field, it kind of shows you a little bit about where you're at.
You've had some falls where you played teams, have them come in here, and then you've had some falls where you didn't. What goes into making that determination whether or not that's something you want to do during your fall ball?
Yeah, I felt like last season it just felt good to play somebody else at the end of fall instead of playing, so to speak, a red-white series. It seems like we always run out of pitching. Somebody gets hurt. You're asking maybe someone to double up, throw, on a game one, and then come in and throw in game 4 or 5. And at that time of year, I'm more about resting guys than getting that series in. I think 2 years ago, I shut it down in the seventh inning of the last game that was going to determine who was going to win the series because we'd already had some guys with sore arms and we were just recycling guys. It didn't make any sense. So I like this, where if we can finish fall ball with a couple of games, I think the guys get excited to play somebody else, kind of finishes it up and get them mentally ready to go to the off season, so to speak. And that's what we're going to do.
Hutch, go ahead.
Dave, you mentioned that new format where you're wanting to do maybe 3 innings, take a break, and then another couple innings, just to have more guys feel like they're starting. Is that maybe because like y'all have so many different options of guys, and you're trying to figure out who you can go to as a starter?
Yeah, we have some really good young pitchers in here, a couple three transfers, and a couple three, 4 or 5 really that have come back that are sophomores and juniors with experience. I mean, we lost basically our whole starting rotation. Last year we had Gackle starting, then we put him in the pen. He was amazing in the pen. We feel like he'll be a starter this year. As a matter of fact, I was going to mention this. We're not even going to pitch Gackle this fall. We're going to rest him and build him up. And he has a lot of experience. Pitched in the summer with Team USA. Just kind of taking care of him and no issues there. Kind of think about Smith a couple of falls ago. We didn't let him throw until late September. He was going to throw a couple different outings, and the outing he threw, I think he threw 11 pitches and struck out 3 of our hitters and was throwing the ball in the upper 90s. And we're kind of going, that's probably enough. And we kind of shut him down. So this fall we're going to do the same with Gackle, but just let him not even throw to our team. So, but yeah, we just feel like that we've got a lot of decisions to make. We've got to try to develop some guys and maybe as starters, let them come out of the blocks like they are starting the game and get the feel for that. And then the innings will increase the next weekend and the next weekend. So maybe we won't have to go to, say, on the weekend, if we play Friday, Saturday, we play 4 3-inning games, so to speak. Maybe next week we do it, but it's a little bit longer. Then after that, we go to maybe more normal.
How are y'all health-wise entering fall ball?
I think we're in really good shape. We had a lot of the young pitchers, high school seniors that came in early, went to summer school, got with our strength and conditioning coach, Hunter Bell. They worked extremely hard, taking some classes and kind of got acclimated. They've also been ramping up. So we feel like we'll get to see a really good side of some of these freshmen that maybe in the past we haven't been able to get it till later in fall baseball. Everyone seems to be healthy. Cahillo is probably, I don't know if you knew this, but he kind of hurt his hand this summer. So we're letting him rest. He hasn't swung the bat or he shagged fly balls and worked on some of that. But right now, just, he'd be the only one really that won't be out there.
And last one for me right now. I noticed you've got another lefty wearing number 33 in Ethan McIlvain. What kind of went into that decision to give him that number? And did you talk to him about it and kind of like what it means and what it's meant to the program?
Well, first things first, he wanted that number. And then he kind of knows what's going on in that number. Is he going to be a starter or reliever? We don't know yet. He has good stuff. I think it's going really well for him so far. I feel like he really likes it here and like the way we go about things. But yeah, I wasn't, I'd make a big deal about it. He knew it was available. I usually put a lefty in it, and he approached me about it.
Matt Byrne, go ahead.
Yeah, hi Dave. Just to follow up, what's the rehab looking like for Souza and Wiggins as well?
Well, Souza's doing great as far as he's taking ground balls and he can swing a little bit at like off the tee or soft toss. He can bunt, he can run. Obviously, we don't want him. When I say run, I'm not going to run him in scrimmages, because of possibility of falling down. But he's moving around really good. Defensively, he looks fantastic fielding the ball. I mean, you can kind of tell he's a man on a mission now. Hopefully, the arm, bounces back as good as it was, and hopefully better. But I think he's a little bit ahead of schedule. But you won't see him in any scrimmages this fall unless it's just playing defense. Where if he does field it or he gets a ball, where he's got to turn a double play or something, he's not going to throw.
What are some of the top experiments that are, on your list for fall ball, whether it's reliever to starter or maybe trying a guy out at a different position?
Well, I think that, Cole Gibler's a guy that, we're going to start him a little bit, see how that goes. I mean, we feel good about what we've seen from, say, Colin Fisher or Parker Coyle. Hunter Dietz is back and he seems to be throwing the ball better than ever. He went and pitched in the Cape and got better every outing. And I don't know. I'd say those are the ones that jump out at me right now. There's some freshmen that, we feel that can help us this season, just on the way they're throwing their bullpens and, looking at their metrics a little bit. But I don't want to say too much about the young guys yet. But, on the mound, those are some of the experiments. And then obviously, we've got some freshman infielders that, who usually you recruit out of high school. It's a shortstop. So they're all used to playing there. I've told all the infielders we're going to bounce you around a lot. You can learn how to play other positions, and we'll just see how it shakes out.
I think Charles Davalon is really crushing it in A-ball. I mean, how much time have you had to catch up with some of your draft picks?
Yeah, just following them through, nightly reports, that type of stuff. We talk about it in our meetings every now and then with how guys are doing. And, Yeah, I mean, it's great to see those guys have success. When you're an offensive player, if you know the strike zone and you don't strike out a whole lot, you're gonna hit. That's what he's doing.
And then last one, over the course of fall progressing, how vocal do you plan to be about kind of that looming question of taking it from 40 guys down to 34?
Well, there's some new rules, and it's hard to go into all the details, and most of them, but uh, they know what they're up against. Doesn't mean that there's a one time situation with all the teams for this year that you might have a 34-man roster, but there's going to be more than that eligible to play, if that makes sense. And I know it doesn't, but it does. And yeah, so that it is what it is, and it's that way everywhere. I think the roster size, most SEC schools are going to be able to go 5 or 6 over 34 and be able to keep around 40. So we'll see how it plays out.
Daniel Shee, go ahead. Daniel, we cannot hear you.
Can't hear you.
Dudley, jump in.
Obviously you've got some guys slated for the outfield. I know you've got some versatility coming in with some players as well. Who are some of the guys that you're going to look in out there in the outfield during the fall?
Micah New, transfer from Marshall. Damian Ruiz, transfer from Lamar. Obviously Zach Stewart, Kahia Aloy, Brenton Clark. I mean, that just named 5. I know I'm missing guys. Brenton had a great summer. We got a couple freshmen. We got a couple freshmen that play infield that could play outfield. We're going to play them all. They've been working extremely hard. It's a good mix of right and left-handed hitters, and I think before fall's over, we'll kind of have an idea what we're thinking about doing there.
Also, what are some of the options at third?
Got a lot of options at third, because you could take every one of the high school kids and put them at third that were shortstops. They all field well, they throw well, they run. Probably the situation is, who's going to swing the bat the best. Could put Cam Kozel over there. I think that down the road, that I think in professional baseball, that might be a spot that they put him, just with his physical size. He kind of looks the part. That's an option. So yeah, there you go.
Also, the last one for me, just it looks like you're getting a great reception on the recruiting trail. Just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we feel like that the kids, when we call them the 27s, the juniors, have been amazing. It's wild. We're talking to kids from coast to coast and then north and south, and they know the names of our players. They know my name. It's interesting. They know who our hitting coach is, who our pitching coach is. I mean, they followed us. They must have watched us a lot last year, all the way through Omaha. I mean, they're bringing up Aloy, they're bringing up Davalon. They're talking about, our crowds, and it's been great. You feel as a program, you kind of got it going. You got a little momentum. We need to take advantage of it. Getting the players, we need to take advantage of it in many ways. I wish we had more seats in the stadium. I wish we could get more people in the stadium, because I think now is the time to strike. I just truly believe that. Now we're recruiting these kids. Example, the weekend of the Notre Dame game, we're bringing in, I don't know, 18 to 20 of the best 27s in the country. Pretty exciting. And a lot of kids that maybe a few years ago might not have come on a visit here. So that's what we're looking forward to. We're also going to bring in a lot of kids for the A&M weekend that we can't get in. And, we're going to get some, we're not going to get some, but the ones we get are going to be good.
Appreciate it.
Jackson, go ahead.
Hey Dave, just wondering, first impressions of a couple newcomers, Damian Ruiz and James DeCremer. What have you seen from those guys since they've arrived on campus?
Well, DeCremer, I've just seen him throw a couple bullpens. He's got a good arm. got good stuff. He's got a pitch that I'm not sure what we're calling it, but it looks like it's awful hard to hit. Ruiz had 83 hits last year, I think, at Lamar. He can really run. He's faster than I thought he was. Played left field there, but he can definitely play center. I've watched him run around out there. Either way, he's going to be an outfielder that can run and catch the ball. I think he's going to be able to steal some bases and, get on base. So excited about what I've seen in, the last 2 weeks.
Obviously, if Nolan gets back to full health, he's a candidate at shortstop. But how do you kind of manage the guys there, when he's maybe not able to make the throws this fall? Who are some options over there?
Well, TJ Pompey, young man we brought in from Texas Tech, played a great shortstop in high school. He's played third base, second base there. They've had a shortstop or two that they've left there. I mean, he could go. I have a lot of shortstops. I mean, Luke Cornelison's shortstop. Landon Schaefer plays short. Carson Brumball's done a great job at short. Alexander Peck. I mean, that's just a name. I just named 4 or 5 freshmen right there. And all the guys that I just mentioned, they're guys that are physical. They're big and they've got some pop. They can play short, second, third, first, whatever we need to do with them. And, I think as a true freshman, bottom line, you just want to get in the lineup, but we'll be moving guys around there.
What are some of the things that you most need to look at with a true freshman, maybe at that position? What do you need to see to have that trust that you can play a true freshman at shortstop?
Yeah, just being consistent, fielding and throwing accurately, just make the routine play. You look at the way we've played that position for many years now. You had, Battles, and then Bolton was not a great offensive threat, but outstanding defender. Battles was amazing. Obviously Aloy's been amazing. And I just went through the last 5 years at short. What they've all done is they've made the routine play and made accurate throws. And that's what you have to do at that position. You make a great play in the hole. You show super arm strength. That's great, but make the routine play, turn a double play. Your feet to second base need to be accurate and thrown where they need to be thrown, where we can move towards first base to turn the double play. Just all the little things add up. And, as far as being verbal and a leader, yeah, that's probably secondary right now. That usually evolves with playing time, but just be a consistent middle infielder.
Last one from me. If I remember correctly, Hagan maybe at first when you told him he wasn't pitching in the fall didn't love it. How did Gabe kind of take that? What his plan was going to be this fall?
Yeah, I don't. I feel like he was good with it. He kind of gave you that look, and the eyes go up, and they're like, "Yeah, that's probably a good thing," and can really focus on getting super healthy and strong and maybe a little bit of downtime from throwing, because I feel like he needs a little more. And, again, this is from our pitching guys, telling me, Coach Hobbs leading that this would be a good thing. And I'm all for it. Guys that are third year in your program that have pitched a lot, I always worry about them. I don't want them being tired at all when the season starts. I want them to be ready for the marathon and the long haul and be good in May and June.
Daniel, let's try again.
Can you hear me now, Coach?
Yep.
Okay. I guess with Dietz, is he one that will benefit from maybe just resetting from everything that he went through last season? And kind of what have you seen that's allowed you to say that he's thrown better than ever?
Well, first we saw him pitch in the Cape, and we watched his outings. We watched his velocity, his metrics, and they ticked up every time. And that's a good sign. Really, when you think about it, he came in, had a little injury, it got worse, got it fixed. He hasn't pitched much. Pitched a couple times for us last year. Had one outing against LSU, and we ended up losing the game. But his stuff was amazing, and it didn't happen again. So we knew it was in there. And then, the summer ball, like I said, got better and better. Now he's back here. I think he's starting to pitch freer mentally. Just let it go. The injury's behind him, and now he's got to build up, gain some confidence. and do what he did when he walked in the door, which was really good, even if he's just that guy as a freshman. But he needs, you're talking about a third-year player that doesn't have very much experience at the Division I level. But the stuff looks like it's going to be there. Hopefully it'll go well this fall, and you never know, maybe he jumps in that starting rotation.
And then you had Jimenez last year from Oregon State, Kramer this year, and then Kozel from Vanderbilt last year, McElvain this year. Is there, some kind of connection that maybe some of the players that you've transferred in past, put in a good word for you, or, is there any connection there, I guess?
Well, I don't really know if those guys knew each other a lot. Obviously, the two Oregon State guys knew each other. We just knew that when DeCramer got in, we knew he had a good arm, but his stats were just okay if you looked at him, but it didn't match up to the stuff. So maybe there was something going on there. And when he got in, we got him. I'm sure it didn't hurt that we had a player in here from his former school. With Kozel, I really don't know, if he talked with McElvain a lot, if any, but I can tell you this, when McElvain got in, we knew what he was coming out of high school. He pitched against us. We knew that the stuff was there. The numbers weren't there. Basically, he just felt like he needed a new start. I mean, they do a great job at Vandy. So sometimes you just need to do something different. We wanted him. We had a need for that, and we got him. I'm sure that he probably, before he made his final decision, talked to, a former teammate about it. And, but, I'm glad that both of them are here.
All right, come back around, Matt.
This is the longest you've ever had a coaching staff together. What's been the importance to keep this group for all these years?
Well, first off, I think that they love coaching here. I think, I think they like working for me because I let them work. I'm not hovering over them and questioning everything they do. I don't micromanage. I've said that many a time. I think they appreciate that. We've been winning a lot. I don't know. I just feel like that they like their situation, so to speak. Yeah, there's always somebody coming in and poking around and making calls and, trying to, maybe sway one of them to move on. And I think that until the right head coaching job pops up or they can get, that they're going to be here, I hope.
Cooper Dossett, what's he able to do this fall?
I'm super excited for Cooper. I'm glad you brought him up. I mean, I've said it before, he has worked as hard as anybody if I've ever seen rehabbing. I made the comment earlier that, I walk through the weight room on the way to the field, for all of our home games, and he's always in there either stretching, lifting, doing something, and maybe that was his time slot to do all that, but I see him in there all the time. And I've seen him throw a few bullpens, and it looked really good. And if he can take the bullpen to the mound, it's going to be great for him. It's going to be great for us. And I'm excited to see him get out there and compete this fall and get ready for spring.
And then you've mentioned two of your other transfer pitchers. I wanted to ask you about Jackson Kircher and what do you see his role being on the team?
Well, Jackson, coming out of high school, Jackson went to Oklahoma, and looking back, we should have recruited him a little bit harder. We didn't know if he wanted to hit or pitch or both, and had a great arm. I think that his better days are in front of him. He's thrown really well. He's big. I think he's super happy to be here. I think he's just happy being a Razorback, but now he wants to be a big part of the team. I don't know. We'll just let his role develop. I mean, the stuff's, the velocity and all that is really good. Now, if he develops that secondary and third pitch, I mean, he could be a closer, he can be a middle guy, and if you got three, he can be a starter. So, it's his sophomore year, but he'll be a big part of our pitching staff.
Hutch, you want to wrap it up?
Dave, you mentioned the smaller rosters earlier. I remember when the House settlement came out, you weren't necessarily the biggest fan of the reduced roster sizes. Now that you're kind of seeing the impact of it, kind of what are your thoughts on all that?
Well, I mean, obviously we have to get to a number, as far as who are turning in, who's eligible to play. Um, I think any coach in this league would tell you if you're trying to run a fall practice and you're talking about development, maybe redshirting a couple of guys, especially when you're talking maybe in-state kid that, you think's athletic or has a really good arm that really wants to be at the University of Arkansas, and that you're going to redshirt him, and he knows that coming in. A lot of that has gone away, which is disappointing because, development is big, and now it's all about jumping around and being at this school and then that school. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. I think she'd be able to transfer like one time, and then then you might have to sit out if you want to do it again. And but anyway, that's another subject. I don't think it's really affected us the way we recruit. I think it's just affecting the kids coming out of high school. I mean, there's a lot of good high school kids that are going to trickle down to mid-majors or to junior colleges, and the kids that are good that are going to go to these mid-majors, they're going to just use it like a junior college, and they're going to go back to a Power Four if they get an opportunity. And then that just cuts down on the young kids coming into those schools. So I don't know the exact answer, but I just kind of feel bad for maybe the kids coming out of high school.
And then also, I mean, you've got, the increase in scholarships too. You don't have just the 11.7. I remember I talked to Parker Coyle, and he said that was a big deal with his decision to come back. I mean, are you seeing some trickle down of like maybe the guys coming to school that wouldn't otherwise, or guys coming back for another year because of the increased scholarship on top of the NIL and rev share?
Yeah. So definitely, the scholars, I'll just tell you this, we don't have 34 fulls. Some schools might, but then they might not get something else, whatever. Some schools have a lot more than others. And if you're talking about revenue sharing money and NIL, some schools help their programs a lot more than others. In both of those categories, it's still not apples to apples, which is kind of disappointing, but it is what it is. But I definitely think that when you can tell a young man and his parents that, he's going to be on a full scholarship, and then, maybe you can give him a little bit of more if you get some rev share money or help him find some NIL money, whatever the case may be, it's going to keep some kids from signing professional, and it's going to keep some kids that maybe are going to transfer that are draft eligible will come play another year at a school like Arkansas or an SEC school or ACC school instead of signing for a small amount, coming out of the school they're leaving. So I think, really what you're seeing now is a bunch of really good players at a lot of schools in our league that are a little bit older, and the brand of baseball. I mean, you look at our team last year, we were really good, really fun to watch. And I've had hundreds of people tell me that, writing letters to me, emails, handwritten letters. I got more handwritten letters this summer and all up till today, honestly, than I've had in the last 3 or 4 years. So people still write letters, and it's been kind of cool, and I'll answer them all before Christmas. But it's an interesting time in Division I baseball, but the talent level is amazing right now.
You mentioned the full scholarships thing. I mean, I'm guessing you didn't give too many of those in the 11.7 era. How often did you give those? Do you have any, memories of guys specifically that got full rides?
I gave one at Northwestern State one time to a young man named Brian Lawrence out of Panola Junior College, and all he did was, that was comboed up with some Pell Grant and some other things, and he was engaged, and he turned down some really big schools to come to us because we gave him that because he needed it. He ended up being our Friday starter. He never lost, I don't think, and he pitched in the MLB All-Star game, if that tells you anything, throwing this nasty slider. And, I remember that one jumps out at me. Then we have some that, I can remember when you pieced it together, if you gave somebody 75, 80%, and and then they got another Pell Grant, or they got some academics that, they were free, but it was just a few here and there. Did we ever give a 100% of our 11-7? So we only had, that was a full. I don't think I've ever done that here, but now, the way we funded them, we get dollar amount to give out. So when our money's gone, whether that ends up being a total of 23 fulls or 26 fulls or whatever it may be, it's interesting. But these kids, they know when they walk in the door that school is going to cost either zero or not much. And it used to not be that way. It's great.
And Jackson, last one.
Yeah, Dave, just wanted to get your quick thoughts on the new NCAA tournament seeding with the going from 1 to 32.
Yeah, so I haven't dug into it too much, honestly. Great, whatever. I don't really have an opinion on it yet. We'll see how it turns out. They flip-flop on a lot of stuff. Seeding, not seeding, seeding after the regionals, not seeding, it's we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I can't make an educated comment on it right now, honestly.
All right, check back in 9 months then when we get to the tournament.
Coach, thanks for your time. We'll see you.
Okay. All right. We'll see you guys. Thank you.